Hey everybody. It's almost New Year's Eve. Technically got a couple of more days. Um, didn't mean to be jumping on back on and expressing my viewpoints, but unfortunately I still have to detest and denounce the quotes of the migrant crisis and all this other garbage that's going on. JRL, I think no, JLR investigates. Um, that some guy, I forgot to write his name down, but he's a guy that works in a garage. I guess it's his garage or something. But he's talking from a storeroom where you can see all these auto parts in the background and like one little window where you could see inside of his garage. Um, there's a couple of others that I can point out, but I'd rather focus on the one that JLR investigates guy. JLR investigates is a guy that's literally traveling. He talks like Joe Pesci, but he actually tries to look like, some kind of homey Walter Cronkite. And he's going around Texas filming all these locations where migrants are and they're being held in facilities and all this stuff. And he's trying to say that there's a big migration crisis and a big invasion and that outlaws, they're all breaking the laws, they're all criminals and all this other crap. Yet he films the exact opposite. Okay? Like on paper, in accordance to what Greg Abbott has signed, they're supposed to be criminals. But every film, every documented, and it's not just from GLR investigates, it's from every media source, CNN, MSNBC, Paramount or CBS, and ABC News. They're all coming down here to Texas and they're filming these migrants that are asylum seeking. You know, there's not an invasion. Not a single military man has had to shoot his gun at anybody, has had to defend themselves from getting fired upon. Okay? Not a single military man, not a single cop has had to remove his gun from his holster to kill somebody. Okay? There isn't a single, situation where migrants have done something overwhelming. And in fact, the only people that have been really aggressive is law enforcement themselves. I remember a year ago where, well, actually it was earlier this year, Haitians tried coming across the border and rangers were on horseback, were using their horse whips to keep them away, to divert them away. You know, it's in fact the only thing that's really aggressive is the razor wire barricade that's in the river. Um, every single film shot of these people, every single footage is them cooperating with the law. And you got people that are banking off of it, like this JLR investigates, and people that aren't even in Texas that are saying that migrants are getting housing and checks, and they're getting they're getting food, they're getting shelter, they're getting houses, they're getting automobiles, and all this other garbage, which is just total bullcrap. Um, and that's really the reason why I still come up to talk. I'm in San Antonio, where we've got all our migrants contained, and to top it all off, that's not a real need of an importance of it, because they're freely walking around the building that they're facilitating, and they're not really doing anything except stretching the legs and getting some air and walking around, getting to know their environment while waiting to be moved to another location or to get their paperwork done while their vetting process gets done. It's just silly. Because they're not really doing it. What they're doing is hoping for some work. They're hoping for some work. They're hoping to get a place to stay. off of earning a living. And there's so much more room for them that we can actually offer, you know. And then you look at the media, who's listening to all the babbling bullcrap, the crying, it's a crisis, there's a man, there's this and there's that and blah blah blah. It's an invasion, you know. And then you see them using the same old footage of everybody surrendering once they cross the border. And then you see people like JLR investigates and other internet. And the only reason why I keep mentioning his name because he's the only one that I can really remember right now. I forgot to write everything down. I do apologize. I would have spouted off a list, you know. But you got these guys on the internet with their own YouTube show, you know, literally videotaping asylum-seeking migrants surrendering as soon as they cross the border. There's no gunfire. They're not using any tools to break through. In fact, the only ones that are the cartels. The cartels in Arizona that poked holes in Trump's wall. You know, the one where he made it 10 feet tall. You know, the one where most of it is actually collapsed and is still lying on the ground right now because of it just couldn't handle the weight. It fell down. And then there's portions of it that didn't fall down, but it turns out cartels are using industrial-sized tools to where they can slice some of the bars of that wall, and one of them in particular to be swiveling like a door. They can actually swivel the bar like a door once they bend it forward, or pull it backward and bend it open. There's a big opening that's permitted where they can fit people, toddlers, their backpacks, their luggage, the dog, the cat, the canary, you know. So that's really the only ones that are doing damage. And instead of having our military or, you know, the guard and border patrol and state troopers patrolling, looking for them, they have them doing clerical work over here for asylum seekers. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't make any sense. And get this, everybody that's filming this, they can see it clear as day. They can see it clear as day of what's going on. And instead of pointing out the quirkiness of it, they're just feeding into the hype, into the propaganda and the media. You know, now if I didn't have to work for a living and if I could actually go do this filming myself, that's exactly what I'd be pointing out. You know, if I had a way of doing that, that's what I'd be doing instead of this babbling bull crap from mainstream news media all the way down to YouTube, you know, and some whack out dude, you know, that's dressed like a guy that should be in a sports bar drinking a beer and eating some wings, you know, and trying to talk like Joe Pesci. You know, there's some weird shit going on out here. I don't know what to make of this. It's all so sketchy. What's going on? What's going on? You know, like, what is he going to break out a baseball bat at some point in time? What is that? I got to start clubbing some people or what? What's going on? That's a damn good question. That's what I'm asking. So yeah, I mean, you know, there's an invasion, not a single army. You know, they're infiltrating us. There's not a single building overrun. In fact, in Chicago, where a lot of people were bussed, they were spending the night in the lobby, spending their nights in the lobby of the Chicago Police Department and cooperating, and even forced to cooperate when the police department had enough and they threw them out of the building. They said, you don't have to go anywhere. You could stay on the other outside of the building, but you can't sleep here in the lobby. It was just yesterday or 2 days ago when this happened, and now we've got migrants freezing out in Chicago winter. No, some of them have no tents, some of them do, but not enough to fully, pack in the tens of people that are there. So it's just silly. It's ridiculous and it's dumb to say we're being overwhelmed and infiltrated. No, we're not. In fact, they're cooperating when they're getting kicked out of the buildings. And they're concerned because they're going to freeze. One good winter, one good freeze, and boom, we already got some dead migrants. Again, asylum seekers who weren't overwhelming anything. That's a huge cause for concern. Which leads me to our worthless governor, Greg Abbott, who's responsible for sending all these migrants to sanctuary cities, which is like the only legal thing that he's done, but not informing them when there's going to be a drop off, not even giving the sanctuary cities a break to reorganize and get some more stuff available, and then have more send in. Instead, they've been dropped off, and when they were told no more dropping them off to these sanctuary cities, they were dropped off into neighboring counties, where eventually they just wind up going back to sanctuary cities. Now, the funky thing about this is it's a horrible part on both ends, and I'll get to what I'm saying. But you've got counties and cities who have gymnasiums, they have, stadiums, maybe not covered stadiums, but definitely areas where there's shelter or something can be made into shelters, almost every state has a town that's a washed up town that Americans just don't want. Texas, we've got almost 300 counties, and all of them have a bunch of towns. There's probably more than enough towns that are abandoned that Texans and Americans just simply don't want. That we can throw, not throw, but you know what I mean? We can facilitate, we can use as facilities to do this. However, what's actually going on is migrants being thrown out on the curb, migrants taken back to the overwhelmed, or not so overwhelmed, but the overcrowded sanctuary cities that are still trying to keep up with them and all this good stuff. And all of these migrants are exposed to elements that could kill them, if not actual people. Because remember, traffickers go to these facilities. San Antonio is proof of this. We busted about 3 or 4 of them that tried telling these volunteer facility holders, hey, you've got somebody that we need. They paid a lot of money to get over here, and now they're to be paid me to get them to their destination, to get them to California or Iowa or even Virginia, Alabama, and Florida. So you need to hand them over to me. And it turns out those guys are traffickers. They got arrested, they got busted, so they got taken in and all this good stuff. And here's the thing. San Antonio is the only place where we're actually arresting these traffickers. Everybody else, as far as I could tell, isn't, because they're pushing them out of buildings. They're not keeping them facilitated. They're leaving them out on the streets. They're putting them in alleys. They're taking them to different corners and blocks where they can literally be abducted right off the street. And that's if they're not lured away and all this good stuff. And that's if it's not already happening. That whether we can prove that or not is irrelevant. The simple fact that my Texas governor, a political leader for the United States of America, for Texas in the United States of America, is doing these life-endangering tactics while using the sanctuary city rule. Okay? It's life-endangering. It's supporting criminals. Okay? It's supporting organized and disorganized criminals and their organizations. Again, whether the organization is organized or not, that's irrelevant. Okay? This is a support for dirty money. It's a support for the underground. And this is being committed by my Texas governor, my state's governor. Okay? So to see everybody in the media looking at the poor migrants and listening to complaining politicians and listening to complaining citizens and looking at YouTubers who are filming cooperative migrants being overcrowded in facilitated areas, and then ultimately right now being kicked to the curb or dropped off secretly to an unknown area, an out of area of the sanctuary city. Okay, Aurora, Illinois was one of them, and I think Rockford, where migrants were being dropped off unannounced, unscheduled, and where the counties were unprepped. Okay, that's life endangering. That's life endangering. You're talking about people that could get froze to death or develop some kind of sickness condition, which of course is going to be taken out of our taxpaying dollars because they need to be medically helped, if not abducted and trafficked, if not just plain murdered out of hate. Okay? That's the life endangerment that my political leader, state governor, Greg Abbott, is committing to. That's what George DeSantis committed to. DeSantis, I'm sorry. That's what Governor DeSantis committed to when he flew them off to different areas. Okay? That's what my Texas governor is doing when he's flying them to different areas. Okay? It's life endangering. So, honestly, that's what needs to be more focused on. Instead of what's going on here with, hey, what's going on? This is all so sketchy, I tell you. That kind of garbage is just, garbage. And it really, the attention really needs to be redirected to the more time-consuming, however, problem-solving solutions, as opposed to this whole scare tactic, media hype up all of you into thinking that it's an out of control, uncontrollable, unsolutioned problem. That's what needs to be done. It's just needs to be redirected to the more common sense on common ground. Pretty much what you look at when you come to my show. Common sense on common ground way of thinking. Because this hype and all this good stuff, which is just going to lead to hate, which is just going to lead to, complete unnecessary deaths and 100% non-progressive and non-productive results. That this is serious. It's a very serious thing. And it's very important that we start getting focused on the solutions instead of the hype. And that's pretty much the reason why I had to come back and talk about this. This is to let you know, not everybody, despite the fact that it looks like the majority of our society is all for the hate, not all of us are. And this particular YouTuber is not gullible into thinking that they're poor and defenseless. They're not really defenseless, and they're not, even though they're poor, but they're not defenseless, and they're not hopeless, and they're not a menace either. They're not a danger to our society. As long as we can keep them facilitated, they'll be fine. They'll be crying for jobs, they'll be crying for work and all that. But everybody knows there's a process to that, and everybody knows that technically there are things that migrants can do for work without giving them a house, without giving them a luxury car or an SUV. I mean, come on, people. There is nobody that's going to be just giving that kind of crap. Okay? Plain and simple. Not without some purpose to it. Not without some kind of reward for them. It's all about profit. Okay? And there's no profit in this. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. But yeah, like here in San Antonio, I mean, we can put 10,000 workers just for cleaning our highways on a daily basis, because there's a lot of pollution. There's a lot of stuff falling down, falling out of trash trucks, truckings. There's always debris falling out of the semis and pickups. There's always big rocks and nails and clamps and C-clamps and, any other kind of equipment, hardware, all threads, rebar. There's always some kind of crap falling out of these trucks. Okay? These trucks and these delivery vans and all this other crap. That stuff that could put a hole in your tires. That stuff can put a hole in can do some damage. No, it's nothing the migrants can solve when it's falling out of the truck. Obviously, when it's falling out of the truck, bouncing off of the pavement and denting the car behind them, or the windshield, cracking the windshield, obviously. But once that debris hits the side of the road, I mean, dude, let the migrants, earn a living, even if it's a minimum wage job. Here in Texas, minimum wage is still $7.75. You could put it up to an even $8 an hour, and have them live in their facilities, go back to their facilities, almost kind of like people on work probation or work parole. They're taken to a house, they go do a job, they come back to that house and not move anywhere. Well, same concept, just with these migrants, teach them to run straight to their boss or the law or whatever, whenever somebody's trying to pull over and offer them something, all this good stuff. Train them, get them to work with stranger danger and shit. I mean, come on. There are jobs that they can do, especially because there's no American there's no citizen that wants to do that for a living. I thought about it once while I was an Uber driver, and I was showing these tourists in the back my clean, beautiful city. I thought about it. Let me give this car a break, man. Let me give my ride a break. I'll do this job and clean and all this stuff. But that was about as far as it went. Just the thought of working it. That was about as far as it went. And I'm the one that's optimistic about this. So, full well that there's nobody that's going to be doing this kind of crap. Except maybe some migrants. So put them to work. I don't understand this. What I do understand, however, speaking of work, my worthless Texas Governor Greg Abbott, has himself this thing where corporations can place their headquarters here in Texas, with as minimal taxes to pay, with as minimal fines and contracts to pay for and all this good stuff. Okay, so we got headquarters like the meat processing plant Packers Incorporated, that has headquarters here in Texas, but has different meat processing and sanitation warehouses in different locations of the U.S. And in those places, they're using child migrants to clean, sanitize, and process meats. Okay? And it's coming with a few injuries. It's coming with a few sicknesses. It came with a death. There was a roofing company in Florida, I think. It was either here in Texas or over in Florida, a roofing company where a child migrant was used to put shingles on a roof. He lost his balance and fell down and snapped his neck. Okay? And it was right in front of, he was, I think, 15, and it was done right in front of his 17-year-old brother. His brother, who was 17, who was also a minor working for this roofing company, you know. So, you got businesses that are putting child migrants to work for minimal pay and under extreme conditions where they're hurting themselves, if not dying. And that's the problem that I'm looking at, where my Texas governor, who's allowing people to put them to work, but under the table through shady deals with bullcrap pay under extreme conditions, life endangering at some point in times, and lethal positions. Okay, you got this going on that's under the authorization of headquarters in other parts of the U.S., under the authorization of the headquarters that have sanctuary here in Texas. It's true. Look it up yourself. Packers Incorporated. That's just one of them. There's a couple of fast food chains that are doing that too. Look up the roofer that fell off of a look up the migrant that got killed while working as a roofer. I'm not making any of this up. If I had my notes with me, I have it on my spiral, I would actually tell you. I completely forgot. I'm actually on my way to work right now. I'm waiting for the store to open up. Excuse me. I'm actually waiting for the place to open up so I can get to work. But yeah, I mean, you got these media people all the way down to YouTubers looking at anything except an invasion and calling it an invasion. You got these migrants that are seeking help. Technically, they're the ones in a crisis, but you got people saying that they are the crisis themselves, that we're victimized by those people that are in a crisis. They need food. They need shelter. They need something to keep them from freezing to death tonight. Okay? It's early in the morning. It dropped into the 30s, the upper 30s here in San Antonio by the time of this recording, which is Friday, December 29th. Okay? They are, so they already went into the 30s themselves over in the sanctuary cities, which are in them northern states, them Yankee states. They've already gone through that. If we're lucky, most of them survived, a majority of them survived, if not all of them. But surviving one night doesn't mean that they should be subjected to going through that all over again. I mean, that's some very serious stuff. If I could, I'd take them down here, But, yeah, I mean, we've got office spaces, warehouse for lease, for rent. I mean, the government should move them into down here where we've got huge productions of buildings and warehouses for rent, and move them in. Rent the space out. There was one in Maryland, a hotel and resort. Okay. Here's the thing about the one, I think it was Maryland. It could have been Maine. Or was it New Hampshire? I don't remember where. I just know it was up there in them Yankee states. There were people that retired that live in motels, hotels, and then this particular place, a hotel and resort where seniors were living at a very nice, comfortable, reasonable rate, and they get a chance to enjoy the resort as well. The government asked if they could put migrants into that resort, and I think the seniors were paying $350 per week, I think. And they got evicted by the landlord because the government was paying $750 per week, which was stupid. It was downright stupid. It was greed. And it was completely unnecessary. Okay? Down here in Texas, yeah, I think we could be people that would subject to that, but there is a way to avoid that. I mean, yeah, we've rented out hotels to the homeless. There was a Holiday Inn in the downtown area, closed off all the tourist stuff, brought in all of the homeless people until they got housing. They went through the process, and because they were Americans, it took about a year. It took about a year and a half. I ain't gonna lie. From 2020, when the pandemic and the shutdowns and all that furlough stuff started, all the way down to the middle of 2021. But those were just Americans. Migrants obviously takes 2 or more years, So we don't necessarily want to do that to our tourist industry unless they're already people that have sponsors and they're just waiting for the process to take place in the background checks. Well, then, yeah, that makes total sense. But we've got warehouses and shut down facilities, factories still that are up for rent, or buying, So, and that's not including entire towns that have been shut down, or abandoned, entire towns that have been abandoned because Texas doesn't want them, need them. America doesn't want them or need them. They're too far away from anything around here, like here in San Antonio, where we've got tons of restaurants and hotels and movies and skating, go-kart racing, horse track racing. We got a horse track racing where you can gamble and all this good stuff. Hell, we still got bingo halls, from the 1960s. We still got them down here in San Antonio. So, we've got tons of stuff. So a lot of people have abandoned those towns out in the country, and they're doing nothing but being consumed by nature, so to say. Again, we could just facilitate them right there. But no, I really don't understand why nobody's looking into this, because that's also an opening for tons of American jobs. I mean, obviously you don't want a migrant who doesn't understand inches and feet because they're used to meters, you don't want them to work on plumbing and electrical and all that good stuff. But you do want American workers, American companies who understands all this stuff, and through federal admitted codes, federally approved codes through the code book, to actually be doing this. And those are American jobs that we can be put into good use, And it obviously starts with the land excavation. And if we're keeping the buildings, it starts with pest control. This new job that I got, this new delivery job that I've got, is right next to a pest control business. They got tons and tons of trucks with ladders on top and, the containers and stuff inside the beds of their trucks and everything. And they got tool trucks and all this good stuff. I mean, you can hire them to fumigate old abandoned houses, and then hire carpenters or frame workers to restructure the houses. It doesn't have to be perfect, obviously. It just has to be up to code. And then you throw your migrants in there. Migrants, they pack 10, 12, people inside in one family inside a house. I mean, come on, Plumbers, you need plumbers for that? I've said all this before. I'm going to stop repeating myself. And I really do apologize for all this spit that's going on. My mouth is just incredibly watery right now. Um, you, but yeah, I gotta keep talking about the migrants, the migrant issue, the migrant subject, and all of the bad shit that our leaders are doing, and all of the bad crap that hype media is doing, from mainstream media all the way down to YouTube commenters. They just really suck right now, and you guys are doing nothing but looking at crap media, crap hyped up bull crap, that's just depressing. It's just sad. And for those that are thinking maybe they should buy a gun, it's scary, and it's anger influencing, which leads to hate, which is the sole reason why I'm over here telling you guys, there's no invasion, okay? There's no, there's footage of people climbing cattle fences, not destroying them, okay? There's footage of people crawling through the barbed wire to cross a farmland. They're not cutting the barbed wire, obviously. Who the hell crosses a river with a pair of wire cutters? And they're not, they're not like goats where they're just helping or groundhogs, or they're just helping themselves to farmland foods, although I wouldn't blame them even if they did. Here's the thing. There's no destroyed crops. Okay? There's footage of them, trying to sneak over and all this stuff, like about 6 to 10 of them, and they're crossing across farmland and ranches, being recorded through those night cameras that hunters use before they go shooting deer or wild hog, if not the actual migrants themselves, shooting migrants on their ranches, but there's none of them destroying the ranches. You don't see them burning anything down, not even while trying to make a campfire to keep warm. You don't see any farms being destroyed. You don't see barns being burned. And there's not even a report of a dead dog caused by these migrants. It's just stupid. It is just downright stupid. And despite the fact that you've got all of this stuff that doesn't show anything, for some oddball reason, there's somebody listening to chaos, strange things, secret underground stuff, secret government stuff, and people are just the people that are listening to those keywords are looking to cause trouble. And what's even more weird, what's even more stupid, I should say, is that they're not really shooting migrants. They're shooting civil rights people. They're shooting people that are tired of cops killing, black people. They're shooting gay nightclubs. What the hell does that got to do with immigrants? How in the world does that stop the so-called invasion? It doesn't make any sense. It's just downright stupid. And God help us, once they start going back to shooting schools. Lately in Uvalde, Texas, it was just some douchebag. Didn't even have a reason to hate. He just wanted to kill. But that's not going to stop people that actually do want to hate. Okay? They're going to come out and they're going to lash out and they're going to, do these lone wolf attacks all over again. I can say it. I'll put money on it. And it's all going to be because of this hype bullshit that's going on that they're looking at. This rhetoric that they're listening to. Nothing but hate. Or anything that draws up so much anger that develops hate. So yeah, the media is still BS, mainstream and private, mainstream and small stream, I guess. It's all still private. There is no crisis. There is no invasion. Okay? There's no invasion. And anybody and everybody that feeds into that is feeding into hate. So stay cool. Keep being calm, cool, and collective. Those of you who are watching me, those of you who have the same idea as me, and technically, if you can actually sport your opinion on it, because I'm proving this from like 4, 5, 6 to 8 counties away here in San Antonio. I'm 100 miles away from the border. If any of you out there that can get actual footage and share, I don't really know how to do that on this thing. I tried doing it a couple of times, editing my own videos, and it didn't work, and I couldn't add anything to it, any footage or any whatchamacallit. So I really don't know how to do footage editing to where I can throw on samples of what I see, onto a video. I'm afraid I'm a little experienced at it. All I can do is just sort of comment on it. And I'm hoping that all of you, I'm not asking you to do any footage on it, but if you could also comment on it, if you're seeing what I'm seeing, let everybody else out there know that you're not alone, that they're not alone. Okay? Because it's just important. The more that hype goes, the more it just turns into a bad situation of hate. It's been proven throughout the World War II, pre-World War II aspect. It's been proven when Castro was in charge of Cuba. It's been proven when with everything concerning the CCP, for crying out loud. When Saddam was in charge. When the Ayatollah Khomeini, who was in charge, just led a whole mess of people to join hate, and by that point, join hate in the name of Allah, a religious hate. We're better than this. We're supposed to be smarter than this. But right now, as far as I could tell, the majority of America is feeding into the hype from mainstream to YouTube to internet streamers. Okay? And it's a concern. It's a show of concern. It's very concerning on my eyes, and I'm hoping your eyes, and I'm hoping everybody else's eyes. But I don't know how many out there think the way I do on this. I don't know how many out there can actually show footage of what's actually going on and what is not going on in accordance to what people of hate are saying. Or hype, I should say, from mainstream to YouTube. So, anybody out there that can actually do this better than me, please do so. Please do so, because like I said, I'm just a worker trying to make a living, But while I'm making a living from as far back as YouTube, as far back as 2017, from Uber rideshare industry, from as far back as 2017 to now, there's really no war. There's no invasion. There's no, there's none of that's going on. No barns being burned, no families being massacred, no, not even a dead dog, So that's, it's a concern to see all this hype going on, which is going to lead to acts of hate very soon. That same hype, proof of that was the AAPI, the Asian American Pacific Islander hatred towards them. And it's just downright idiotic, to think that in this country, after all of the hype that's been done throughout previous countries for, the past, 200, 300 years, I mean, come on, it's just idiotic to think that we're still subject to that. To think that America would be is just so stupid, especially in this day and age. We're in the second millennia, for Christ's sake. It's just dumb. And that's the reason why I'm out here. So, if you like what you're hearing, if you understand what I'm saying, hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, because common sense on common ground thinking is what I'm always going to be presenting. And it lets me know that I'm not alone. And it brings me happiness to say you're not alone. Go ahead and do that. Let's keep an eye out. If you also have a broadcast, let me see it. Let me know that that we're on the same side. As far as common sense on common ground thinking goes, we don't have to think like a monolith. Obviously, that's not a good thing. But being on the same page is not bad either. So, yeah, just let me know what kind of comments you've got, and let me see what you got and everything, and I'll share whatever comments that you've got with the people also. And that's about it. I'm going to close it up. Y'all take care. Y'all take it easy. It's Friday. It's the weekend. It's a New Year's Eve weekend. If I don't publish anything from here until after the New Year, have a Happy New Year. If something happens to where I do have to say something, then we'll see you. I wish you a Happy New Year again. So y'all take care. Y'all take it easy. This is Chris with Chris's Comments, signing out.